on a set as you don't pay enough attention in class. You don't know what the word study means. Get the slightest idea. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yo pod people, ready to pinch those pennies? Remember darlings, the voice in your head that says, you cannot do this, is a filthy liar. Now, your podalicious host, Studio Steve.
Hey there podcast people, Studio Steve here with a quick and fun episode all about podcasting on the cheap. One of the things that is so great about podcasting is that even at the top professional level, the production costs are relatively small, especially when compared to the production costs of other types of media. There are many people who ask, can I make a podcast for free? Or what is the cheapest way to start up a podcast? So on this episode, we'll answer those questions and chat a little bit about penny pinching alternatives, what's possible, and what kind of audio you can achieve on the dirt cheap. We'll cover 4 main points: computer, microphone, free DAWs or software, and free web hosting. First off, computer. Frankly, there really isn't a way to podcast for free. This is because at very least you will need a decent computer. Now, the majority of people interested in starting a podcast already have a computer, so when they say free or cheap, that's not including the price of the computer. If you don't already have a computer, then you'll need to budget in around $1,000 for your most basic of computers. This brings up another increasingly common question. Can I podcast using my smartphone or my tablet? Actually, this is such a common question that we are putting out an episode all about it on Season 2, so check back for that one. Okay, so you have a computer. Now you're going to need a few other things at the bare minimum. Next on the list, a USB microphone.
A USB microphone.
USB microphone.
My recommendations starting from lowest to highest are the Blue Snowball, $50, Audio-Technica ATR 2100, $70, or the Audio-Technica ATR 2500 for $80, and the Blue Yeti for $120. These microphones all come with cute little stands and the USB cable you'll need. What they don't come with that you'll want is a pop filter or a pop screen. This will help to soften the harsh p noises that come from your mouth. You can get an inexpensive one for about $8. And you're going to need a pair of studio headphones, especially if you're not going to be buying speakers at first. Audio-Technica, Behringer, and Tascam all have a pair of headphones for $20. So, this basic setup, you'll need $80 to $150. Now, it's important to remember that this is for one microphone, which means you'll only support one voice. So if you have a co-host, you'll need another $100. Now, at the very beginning, you can achieve okay results if you and your co-host speak closely to one microphone, but this won't fly for very long. So, if each voice has at least this setup, you'll be able to achieve surprisingly good results on your podcast. That is, if you use the equipment properly. If you haven't already listened to the first few episodes, I would really recommend doing so. But to quickly touch on some of the things we covered, your first concern is the room you record in. Find a quiet room to record in. Preferably you want this room to be non-reflective or have no echoes. Also, avoid recording in rooms with loud air vents or refrigerators or anything that hums and buzzes. Even though you will be speaking close to the microphone, the mic will still pick up all those background noises. Another problem you may run into using USB microphones is recording more than one of them at the same time. This can cause a huge headache and will take some workarounds. The difficulty you'll have will vary greatly depending on the software or the DAW you choose to use. Which transitions us nicely to the next point, free DAWs. In my opinion, the best free DAW for PC or Mac is going to be Pro Tools first. I am so happy Pro Tools now has a free version. Pro Tools is the industry standard audio editing software that you will find in every major recording studio in the world. and Pro Tools First has the same layout and basic functions. There are limitations, but nothing compared to the limitations of your other free options. The next best, in my opinion, would be GarageBand, only available on Mac. And then finally, Audacity. Now, I've been playing around in Audacity a lot to prepare for the tutorial videos we'll have on YouTube, and I have to say I'm not really a fan. However, you can achieve decent to good results if you use it properly, and there are tons of podcasters that use Audacity successfully. But there are a lot of workarounds and limitations that will add headache and time to your workflow. GarageBand is the most intuitive and easy to get going. Pro Tools has the biggest learning curve. But I really recommend taking the time and learning how to use Pro Tools. And we're going to have a getting started tutorial here on YouTube about it, and advanced Pro Tools First tutorials at our Overachievers Club on Patreon. So, you have a computer, you've chosen a couple microphones for you and your co-host, you've taken my advice and downloaded Pro Tools, or maybe even GarageBand, or maybe your Audacity. Now you've recorded and touched up a few episodes and you've exported them to MP3 files. Now you need to host these files online somewhere that will generate an RSS feed that you can submit to iTunes. Which brings us to the last item on our list today, free web hosting. My biggest two recommendations for free web hosts would be first, Spreaker. It's like speaker but with an R in it. And second, Podbean. Choosing a web host is going to take some research on your behalf. We have a helpful blog that compares the most popular ones you can check out at podsoundschool.com/blog. All of the free options will just get you started and will eventually require you to upgrade to a paid membership. It can be a huge hassle to transfer your podcast to another host later, so really do some research here and choose one that will support you nicely way down the road. And especially choose one that will allow you to have your own domain name later. So, podcasting on the free? Sorry, Bob, not gonna happen. Podcasting on the cheap? Yeah, you can make it work, but not permanently if you want to graduate from acceptable to exceptional. Podcasting on the cheap and using USB microphones will really only ever allow you to achieve acceptable results. And acceptable results aren't what we want. They aren't what your ideas deserve. Your podcast is a showcase for your talents, thoughts, and your passions. It is perfectly okay and even recommended to start with cheap options like these at first, to get your feet wet and to ensure that it's something you want to continue to invest time and money into. But while starting cheap, you can make good decisions that will allow you to affordably upgrade. For example, choosing to learn Pro Tools now, you'll be set for the future. And out of the microphones I listed, I would get one of the Audio Technicas because they are also XLR microphones, which means when you purchase an interface, they can be used with preamps and your interface will be converting the signal instead of the interface on the microphone. So there's a quick lowdown on the low costs. Good luck, Podaneers, and remember, we are here to help. Email me any questions you have at studiosteve@podsoundschool.com. And be sure to come over and join the Overachievers Club at patreon.com/podsoundschool and help yourself and our podcast family grow. Check out our blog, podsoundschool.com/blog, and hit that subscribe button. I have posted the links to the microphones we talked about on this episode and to the Pro Tools First download on this episode's webpage, which you can find at podsoundschool.com/podcast. Happy casting, friends, and we'll catch you next time.
Almost done with Season 1 podcasters. Next we're going to cover digital audio workstations, and then you are ready to get creating, recording, and editing. How fun! And remember, no matter how slow you go, you're still lapping everyone sitting on the couch.
Learn from valuable learning experiences.
Interest in work
for which learners see a purpose. Provide its own discipline.